Friday night, the Showtime Hawks, the Hollywood Hawks. They're smalls. Are they the best small forwards in the competition, Geordie?
The Mosquito Fleet. Well, they were certainly up and about on Friday night. I think what I loved about their game, and this sounds like you're still in the club, I love their defensive stuff, which is not the stuff that the fans like to see, but the smothers, the chase. You know, Watson
even
was
Chol.
Even Chol, but Watson was a standout. The work rate from that man there, Dylan Moore, you nearly have to ISO him to see how hard he works to then get his ball. But 3 goals from Moore, 3 goals from Watson. Moore was best on ground. And then Ginnivan chimes in with 2 goals. It was a complete performance by those boys.
Is it any surprise that the other small forwards who have learned from the way Dylan Moore has gone about it, is there any surprise that they've come up in his mould? Because he's always been team first, and he was performing so well, but underrated before he actually popped through and was respected by the competition.
Yeah.
So they'd be schooled from him.
Yeah, and he's been schooled by Bruce.
Absolutely. Yep. And just as important, Marvin Charles obviously playing a bit of a lone hand down there at the moment.
Nice, Brown. You can't do it without the keys, can you?
Absolutely. Let's bring it back. Let's not get too focused on those little shrimps down there. But so he's got to compete, make sure intercept marks are not taken by the opposition. He did a good job on the weekend. I thought he's go the first opportunity at their smaller blokes.
When you think of Hawthorn, you think of draft, and obviously they've got in a lot of young players, but there's 9 players playing for Hawthorn at the moment that have come from other clubs. And if you look at some of the names here, Barrass and Battle obviously have just come along. Port Adelaide, I think, would be kicking themselves with Carl Amon and Jarman Impey there, and then Essendon as well. Massimo D'Ambrosio made the All-Australian 40 last year, and then the other names there, Meeks, we spoke about Lloyd Meek last week, potentially being one of the bargain buys of Ruckman. And at the moment, they are just doing everything right, on field and also off field from a point of view there. So the Hawthorn have put themselves together nicely, haven't they?
Well, I think they're in the best 22. So all those players there aren't in the side because there's an injured player in their specific position. So I think it's, certainly when I was playing, there was a real task to go after specific players. There's certainly the way that the game is going, and you've got to be a kicking side, you've got to be a running side. A lot of those players possess a high level in both of those aspects, and they just complement what sort of game plan Sam Mitchell is doing.
Sam Frost says g'day too.
He does, doesn't he? We didn't play. He was a sub on the weekend, Bucks.
He's in the 23, mate.
Geordie crucified him last week and he came and kicked it on the ground. Now, Essendon, obviously, on the other side of that, haven't played finals for nearly 20 years now. Not getting bang for buck at the moment, are they?
No, well, especially in this area. I thought they were brilliant around the stoppages, and Caldwell and Shield and Merritt and those types of plays. But I think if you really prioritise that part of your game, to only get a return of 5 goals, and yes, I know they were inaccurate, that was a missed opportunity. And I think what they did by having a spare at times in and around the stoppage, it gave Hawthorn a spare deep, and usually sides want the key position player, the zone-off defender, to be that spare so they can impact all the other contests around. Hawthorn prioritise a running player, whether it be Impey, whether it be Amon, and from that they're able to...
Is that too dangerous to do, considering Hawthorn's kicking ability, the kicking talent out of the back half?
Yeah, I think that, for me, the best way to combat that and play against Hawthorn is to try and hold your forwards. Now, Hawthorn at times took a 7th down.
Hardwick was...
I would even nearly equalise a 7th against the Hawks.
Oh, and we were talking about that on the night. Talking about their kicking, one thing that Hawthorn did
spied this one,
really
didn't you?
well. And I think Brad Scott alluded to it afterwards about, we were prepared for this, but we weren't good enough at stopping it. It was a kick out that they'd run against Sydney. And this time it's Amon. D'Ambrosio's the wingers trying to draw his winger off of that fat side wing. And Impey's making that run. So D'Ambrosio, like elite users, left footer Amon to left footer D'Ambrosio and then off. They don't score from this, and Sicily's moved forward at this stage in the last quarter. But that was quite obviously a set play. And Essendon looked at that during the week. They went man-on-man after half-time, which opened up this opportunity even more. Sicily this time's in the goal square. D'Ambrosio comes forward, drags his main man forward. And it's more open because of the man-on-man that they'd gone to. So I think what the Hawthorn coaching staff do well is they've got plays ready.
Are they creative? Is this an insight into Sam Mitchell as a player but also as a coach? Just because not many sides do this.
Well, I think maybe they do, but they don't understand the moments in the game. Either the players or the coaches don't understand the moments in the game when it can be utilised to its full effect. And if it falls short, there's plenty of best laid plans that don't come to fruition. But Hawthorn just seem, you just spoke about the trades and the recruits and the roles that they're playing. They just seem to be getting everything in the right mix at the moment and getting the big bang for buck off their efforts that their opposition aren't. So they're in great shape.
What do you want to talk about? Dylan Moore looks like an absolute star of the competition.
Yeah, I love Dylan Moore. I mean, his numbers speak for themselves. You know, you look at the last 12 months of footy. He's top 5 in the comp for score involvements. He's an inside 50 specialist. He's a ground ball player of note. I think he's number 2 in the comp for ground balls inside 450. Doesn't sound like a great stat, but that's where you make your money.
Yep.
That's where it's put to the games to bed. But I just wonder, what's McGrath doing here, right? You know that their high forwards are going to come up. You know they're going to charge back, and you know this guy is a star. I think he's on the edge of breaking into the top 10 or so players in the competition. He is that good.
Wow.
His numbers are like Toby Graham's.
Yep.
They really
Elite.
are. Elite. And here he is, still charging, still going, and he just breaks the will of Andrew McGrath. So they're the sort of things that Essendon keep talking to us about. Oh, no, our standards are better. And we're committed. We're all in. Our leadership group have taken full control. Well, they pick and choose. They still pick and choose, and until they correct that, they'll have these losses.
But it's time for Who Had a Crack, brought to you by Hahn, of course. Great taste, low carb, how good. Talk about foot skills. The Hawthorn ball movement by foot. It's almost back to 2008 days under Alistair Clarkson, Birchall, Stewart Dew, Silverioli, these guys. The foot skills, they are absolute samurai swords at the moment under Mitchell.
I love it, the samurai. These kicks go to where they want the player to lead.
Yep.
They don't kick to a lead, they kick and make the player move. All these kicks are just beautiful. The left footers are just putting on a treat. Look at this kick here. Just pull it back to the favoured side again of it. All he has to do is hold his player off. Here, left footer. There's no leading. He puts that to a spot where only Watson can mark the ball. There's great coverage there from Essendon. They had him cornered in, and the kick was just too good. And I think their kicking skills, or the way they deliver the ball, is different to a lot of clubs. They're not kicking just a favoured side. They're saying, hey, jog onto that one. Hey, work back to there. I love what Sam Mitchell's done.
What about the Essendon defence, Joey? I feel like this has been an issue for them. A thorn in their side for 15 years.
Yeah, Kingy just touched on it. Brad Scott's 3rd year in charge. If they are ever going to be a team that are going to win big games and win finals, they have to improve what they do in the defensive 50. And for me, they're just not miserly enough. They just aren't stingy enough to want to stop scores when it goes in their defensive 50. Because I thought they did some things right in the game. You know, they had some periods of game control around the footy. But this sort of stuff here, like, I know Zach Reid is a young player. He's been in the system for a while. But look at the Essendon goalkeepers. Like, that's junior level stuff where you all just go to the back and goal keep the goal square, allowed another goal. This was all first quarter stuff, by the way. Could have shown a ton of vision. You just showed the kick from Carl Amon. Kingy, this is prior. So what's he doing here? Because Essendon play a 1v1 defence. That's how they defend. But then you got someone who's just sort of caught in no man's land. And you go, how did Nick Watson mark that amongst a whole bunch of players? Well, that's why. And then this is your guy that's on the big bucks. You're almost one of your highest paid players. Sometimes when you're one-on-one in defensive 50, you've just got to find a way to defend. He had no idea. He did not know where John Newcombe was whatsoever. It's a common theme. And as I said, you look at the numbers. They kept Hawthorn to 48 inside 50s. If they average that for the year, Essendon, that's top 4. But you allow 16 marks inside 50, and for Essendon, for Hawthorn to score 54%, that'd have you ranked last if they stayed at those numbers for the whole year. So that's the difference. They've just got to find the right group of players that are going to be stingy and miserly and want to stop scores and help their teammates.
Are they there?
Nah, they're not there.
Okay.
No, not yet.
No, those players
the other
changes.
not right now. Not from what I've seen with who they've got in the back line.